And a good evening to everybody. I know Patrick is here and he's probably going to come up in the next few seconds, but I just wanted to let you know that we are at the top of the hour. It is 7 o'clock here in the West, and wherever you are, it's add 2 or 3 hours. But good evening, and it's good to see everybody here. I think we'll be getting started shortly. I'll just leave that for Patrick, but everybody hang tight for us, and we will get underway.
Yeah, we'll give everybody just a couple more minutes to trickle in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. We'll give everybody just one more minute, and then we'll get started. All right, Chin, whenever you're ready.
Oh, I thought you were going to do all that introduction that you like to do. I guess not. All right now.
This
And a
is your
good
show.
evening to everybody. And a good evening to everybody who's joined us. Patrick and I do these things a little bit differently from time to time. I usually give you until about 5 after the hour. He's giving you three after the hour. So,
I respect you about 2 minutes more than Chin does.
nah. And then when you see my presentation, Patrick is usually a little bit more text heavy than I am. I'm not text heavy. I'm picture heavy. I like that. And a good evening to everybody. With all the jokes aside, I'm glad to see everybody here who's joining us tonight. And I know a lot of you folks are coming to join us from many different time zones across the country. I always want to give a big shout out to Stacy Burns, one of our longtime members out there who is sitting over there in the Eastern time zone. So for her, this is 10 o'clock for her. And she'll be getting out and she'll be getting out hopefully sometime before midnight. But the fact that you are here every session is shout out worthy. So good to see you over there, and good to see everybody else who have come to join us. So here we are. And my name, just in case you don't know it, is Chin Thomasangsi. I am the South Bureau Coordinator for the LAFD Community Emergency Response Team program here in Los Angeles. I cover an area that stretches from the harbor of Los Angeles all the way up to West Los Angeles through Old South LA. So it's a rather sizable area. And in fact, Patrick, who's with us, is our Central Bureau coordinator, and there are two more coordinators who handle operations for CERT in different geographic areas of the city. It is my pleasure to be with you folks tonight. It is my pleasure to be your instructor tonight. What we are talking about tonight's featured subject is basically what I call CERT beyond the first 7 classes. As all of you know, when you take the CERT program, you have to go through something basically called the CERT basic training. And that CERT basic training consists of 7 classes that teach you different skills, different things you need to know to be able to take care of yourself, your family, and your community, all in that order. But what happens after you take those first 7 classes? Sometimes that can be a little bit murky. And so, what we want to do is just give everybody a chance to kind of see that. And we'll be using Los Angeles as a little bit of a template, but we will talk out of the boxes, talk about out of the box about other programs and how things are done. So it will be relevant to each and every one of you. So, if you will, and in the chat, guys, if you could do me a favor, I'm curious. How many of you folks, just put your name and say first time or whatever, how many of you folks are new to this whole thing? How many of you guys have just taken the CERT training? Give me an idea of how many newbies we've got out there, because this really benefits you guys more than anybody else. It's good for our other folks to know it because they'll understand how things should go. But I'm thinking about all of you folks out there, and I do see some names down there from some people that we've gotten from recent CERT classes. So I'm delighted, and it's good to see you. And I'm gonna share my screen now. I'm going to put up my presentation, and then we're going to go right into it. Um, Let me go through the entire presentation and then mark down your questions, because usually when you have questions, if you wait for a little while, somewhere in the presentation, you might get that question answered. If not, let's save it for the Q&A session, and then we can go from there. All right. Then I am going to share my screen. And allow. All right. We're going to bring this up. Can everybody see this particular slide? Community Emergency Response Team beyond the 7 classes.
We can see it.
Okay. Everybody's starting off shy over there. So,
Yes, we can see it.
all right, we got you. The Community Emergency Response Team beyond the 7 classes. As I told you, that is our subject tonight. So let's kind of dive into things. So a number of you folks are new, so welcome. And we hope you learned something. And if you got questions, pop them up. Like I said, let's save them, and we'll go into Q&A with that. That way we'll manage our time efficiently.
Chin, you have a banner
So
across the top that says you are sharing your screen.
I just moved it.
Okay.
I was looking at it just as you were talking
You
about
can
it.
probably
Has it moved
minimize,
on
hit
your
that. You can probably minimize it.
that little thingy there?
There you
Ah, there it goes. Patrick, you're always teaching me something new about these here machines. I love it. All right, folks, let's get into it, and we'll go from there. The Community Emergency Response Team beyond 7 classes. This is presented by me, and my name is Chin Thomas Angsey again. I am actually in my 10th year of being part of the Los Angeles City Fire Department's Community Emergency Response Team. Prior to being the current South Bureau coordinator, I was a CERT battalion coordinator. That just simply means that I had a smaller geographic area that I handled as part of as a CERT leader. So we won't get caught up in that, but just giving you a little bit of background behind me. I'm a native Angelino here in Los Angeles. I have been living in the same neighborhood for 55 years, and the scary part is that I'm 55. I was with the CBS television network for 33 years, and again, I've been with CERT for 10 years. And you can see I'm kind of a long-term guy. So I'm a long-term relationship kind of guy. So wherever I go, I settle in. And I like to say this all the time that the human CERT adventure is just beginning for you guys. So let's dive into it. Let's kind of dive in before you actually start looking at the teams. Everybody's kind of familiar with this. It all begins here. Your journey begins with what we call CERT basic training. This is a photograph from one of our CERT basic training classes, and pretty impressive looking group over there. Everybody in the green vests were new graduates from the program. But when you look at this picture, let's take it apart bit by bit. Really, what you've got three different sets of people who are in this picture. And what's the breakdown? I kind of did it in thirds just to keep it easy. Let's flip. Whoops, wrong flip. The thirds. About a third of the people you saw in that picture took class for their own personal preparedness. The thing about CERT is that a lot of people just look at it as disaster preparedness. Sometimes they are either not aware that there is a team component that fits into it, or they're aware of it and they're just really not interested into it. A lot of those people, I hate to say, you probably will not see again after they leave the class. They generally took the CERT class for their own personal preparedness. Now, what you can say about these folks is, many different things, and sometimes I wonder if that third of people that we're talking about out here will even remember a lot of the concepts that they learned in the class once they leave it. But this is what I've seen over the years. About a third of the folks took the class for their own personal preparedness, and that's about it. About a third will actually remain mildly or moderately active. Actually, you'll see some of our folks come out, and I see this every year at one of our biggest exercises that we do here in Los Angeles, our Grayburn area exercise. Those of you in Los Angeles who have been part of it, you know it. Many of the people, and we just had our most recent yearly exercise back in September. A lot of the faces I look at, quite honestly, are people that I don't see a lot, or I see them here and there. It's great to have you there in some way, being active, and I can't be mad at you for that. You've got a third who will be engaged and active and certain. Those are the people who are consistently active, like myself, like Patrick, like some others who are here. As Patrick usually says in these lectures, he says, and it's very true. It does become a part of your lifestyle. It becomes a part of you and something you always want to do. And like I said, and I'm saying it out loud again, you don't have to be as active as we are, but I will say this: be active to some degree. So, just saying, this is just kind of a breakdown of the people you see coming through the CERT program. Remember that when you take the CERT program, that you're investing time, and time is something that you can never get back once it's gone. So make it stand for something when you get out of the program. And those of you who are here tonight and those of you who are consistently here are those people. You guys are taking that and you're taking it a little bit farther. Again, you can be mildly or massively active just as long as you're active. So you know you're making that investment of time stand for something, and that's a good thing, and I applaud you for it. All right, after the class, here's what you want to do as you start getting active. If you're lucky, you will have gear. And in many cases, many of our programs here and around the country will start you off with some basic equipment. It usually will be a helmet, a vest, and a backpack. And many times the backpack actually has some stuff in it. Many of our CERT programs, including LA City, they get grants which allow them to buy this stuff for members. So if you've got that, is great. If you happen to be in one of those places where you don't necessarily get it, take a look around, do some searching, and you can actually find some really good priced personal protective gear. In fact, a lot of what you see in these couple of photos, with some exceptions, the backpacks are relatively affordable. The helmets are definitely affordable. They're like $8 to $15 or something like that. Make sure at the very minimum you either get that basic personal protective equipment, or you make sure you get it, or you make sure you get it on your own someplace else. And that's the most basic thing you can do to get yourself set to being in that post CERT basic world that you find yourself in. So make sure you get your basic personal protective gear. And if you're in a town or someplace where you have some kind of uniform code, go for that too. Know your CERT program. Usually, you'll find out how your CERT program is administered when you're in the class, because those classes are usually taught by firefighters or emergency management folks or police officers or some other qualified person. Even there are even some CERT trainers who are volunteers like us, but we will usually tell you something about the program you're going to be a part of. But know a little bit about it. Know who administers your program. In some areas, like the city of Los Angeles, it's administered by the fire department. In some areas, it could be police or sheriffs. And in yet other areas, it could be the emergency management department. The reason why you want to know about these folks is because if you have questions about being a part of the team, or you have some other type of question, these folks can usually answer it, but you have to know who to ask. Again, in Los Angeles, it's the LA City Fire Department, and across the country, it's prevalent that fire departments generally teach CERT. It's prevalent, but it's not always the case depending on where you are. And down at the bottom, I'm not neglecting anybody. You can have a separate entity that administers or manages the program. Usually it's through a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. And we'll talk about that in just a bit. In Los Angeles, like I said, LA City Fire Department. The gentleman in the picture with me is our most recently departed disaster preparedness officer, Rico Gross. He was with us for a long time, and he was one of the program managers of the Los Angeles City Fire Department CERT program, and a very, very well respected fellow. And here are some of the other programs. I took the ones that are here in the Southern California area. Really, you have a lot of CERT programs in just about every city here in Southern California and across the nation. Know who you're a part of. And for those of you who came through LA City CERT training, you guys will kind of understand it. I saw some of the names down there. Um, I've interacted with you, and in some cases, if you don't live in the city of Los Angeles, I've pointed you to programs where you are. So make sure that you get involved with those different programs. I want to take a moment, and this is a hodgepodge of different programs we have here. Our Tri-City CERT Association, which covers the suburban areas of Hawthorne, Lawndale, Gardena. That is actually one of those that's administered as a 501(c)(3). It's a group of CERT folks who have formed that 501(c)(3), and they have a governing board and everything like that. When their CERT basic classes are taught, they are taught in association with the Los Angeles County Fire Department, which teaches the program. Once people come out of the program, if you're in those three areas, you go to that group, and that is your program. Another one I'm going to point out is the city of Montclair, which is about 60 miles east of Los Angeles. They're under their Montclair Police Department. They were recently with us at our Grayburn exercise, and they are under the police department. Generally, the others that you see here, City of Downey is administered by by their emergency management department. You see, I'm giving you examples of what I had in the previous slide. Downey is administered by by the EMD, the Emergency Management Department, and Culver City and Beverly Hills are both fire department administered programs. The Burbank Fire Corps down below is a really interesting beast right there, in that they're actually a more of a call out style program than anything else. But we'll talk about them in just a little bit. But I wanted to give you a snapshot of what CERT programs look like across the Southern California area. And that's representative of CERT programs around the country. There are some of you here, there might be some of you here, I'm not going to make an assumption on anything. There might be some of you here who may not have a CERT program in your city, town, or county. So that's actually another issue you have to deal with. And we can talk about that in Q&A. So keep that in mind. Know your area community emergency response team. Do that research if you have to. Like I said, in many cases, if usually where you've taken the CERT class is usually where you live, that is not always the case. Again, we have some people out there who took LA City's training. And by the way, I want to say this, CERT, as you know, is a FEMA program, Federal Emergency Management Agency program. So no matter where you take CERT, whether it's in Los Angeles or Florida, it's being taught on a relatively unified curriculum. There might be some different emphasis, like in Los Angeles, it's all about earthquakes because that's what we have here. And in Florida, it might be hurricanes. In the Midwest, it might be tornadoes. But generally, it's pretty uniform. And wherever you go, you're a CERT member. But do the research about your team. If you're lucky, like in Los Angeles, in many times we have a coordinator who comes to your last class, and that person will say, "Hi, I'm here to talk about what's next for you." Connect with that person, connect with that coordinator, that team leader, whomever that person is from your team. If that's what you want to do, connect with that person immediately. Get on that person's list because that'll start getting you active in the program. In Los Angeles, this is what we look like. It's pretty cool, huh? Our battalion and bureau coordinators. There's Patrick way over there. If you look at him hard on the right, there he is. But these are the people, these are the civilian volunteers who actually run the program, who run the neighborhood and community programs. These are definitely people that you want to get with, because what we will do from that point is start giving you additional skills. Going back to these 7 classes, you're taught basic skills of basic personal preparedness, um, fire extinguishing, basic medical, basic search and rescue techniques. What happens after you leave the class is that you have a chance to enhance and use those skills. Remember, it's kind of like going to college. Remember when you went to college and you went and you actually started working in your field and you said, wow, everything's kind of different here. It's kind of like that. When you get into CERT, you're being taught the most basic concepts. There are concepts left for you to learn, like basic team formation, managing a team, um, other skills you need to learn, like radio operations and different things like that. That's where your neighborhood team comes into play. So this group right here of coordinators, there's got to be like a zillion years of experience there. Okay, maybe not a zillion, but you get what I'm saying. So wherever you are, find out who the program managers are of your team or the key people in your community and get with those folks. We reach out to the folks in Los Angeles and everything like that, and we get them on our teams if that's what they want to do. We have a structure in Los Angeles. What you saw on the last slide is one level. what we call battalion area teams or community teams. Up here, we have a level of what we call bureau operations. You saw all the battalion people back there. Now you're seeing the people who are just a little bit above that. We are built in the image of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. And think about it this way: if you've worked at a large company or you work in the emergency services industry, you know that there is a flow chart. In some cases, they call it the ICS, the Incident Command System chart, and it shows everything on a level. So what you saw back there, excluding the four of us, were our community team leaders, and up here, we also assist in managing those same team leaders in four different bureaus. Don't get obsessed with it. There with every team, there is some kind of organizational design. It has to be. So I'm just giving you a little look at LA City, and like I said, if you compare our structure to LA City structure, we were created in a mirror image of them. All right, guys, I walked you through all the good stuff. Well, okay, the boring stuff. Now I'm gonna talk about getting you guys involved in the program. This is where everything kind of comes together for you guys. Again, like I said, when you take the 7 classes, you're listening to lecture, you're looking at a PowerPoint, you're looking at photographs, you may be even looking at videos of people doing the CERT thing. Getting involved means you're doing this CERT thing. And I will tell you, and I think even Patrick will say, and anybody else here who's been doing this for any amount of time, you'll learn a lot. And I will tell you this: I'm still learning a lot. The learning never ends. But I will tell you that in my 10 years here, I've come a long way from that young raw guy who started showing up at community exercises and stuff. I remember the first time somebody said, "You're the incident commander," and I said, "What's an incident commander?" Just saying. So, but let me warn you of something that you'll find in most, if not all, of our programs. There is a code of conduct that exists for CERT. One thing you need to understand is that CERT is a volunteer operation. And when you have volunteers, you get a cornucopia of people who come together. Think of it this way: when you have members of a fire department come together, it's a pretty similar group of people. There's a very similar mindset out there. Police, even those of you who work in corporate America, there's a certain mindset. With volunteers, you've got a cornucopia of people who are coming from various different walks of life. And in many cases, that's a great thing because in CERT, sometimes as you grow, you incorporate elements from your outside life into it, and Um, it really benefits the program. But on the flip side, we as members and even area leaders have to sometimes deal with the quirks and everything and the differences and the diversity that comes with being in a volunteer organization. So many of you folks, when you get to know your area teams and your area program, you will be presented with some kind of code of conduct. And basically what all of those codes of conduct will do for you is simply remind you, in short, be civil with each other. That's really what you've got in this long little this long little paragraph right here. It's not a long paragraph, but within that, it's asking you to be civil. It's asking you to understand that there are people who are different from you who are part of this program. It's also asking for you to act a certain way because you are representing the program. And if you're in your CERT uniform from Albuquerque, New Mexico, if we got anybody from Albuquerque tonight, um, people really gauge but how you act in that uniform with the organization you represent. That's just natural. So remember that. And remember sometimes that when you're out working with your team, you're going to deal with a lot of different personalities, skill levels, and so on. Just giving you that little walkthrough. All right, getting back to getting involved. In some cities and municipalities, and I see it a lot with smaller cities. In Southern California, it's kind of like I'd single out Culver City, who was there, Montclair, a few of our smaller cities and municipalities. In some of our smaller cities and municipalities, you can get involved with CERT and actually find yourself in an almost in a support role to your municipality's fire department or even police department. Um, the reason you see that is smaller cities, they see the value in having in really good trained CERT people. Not everybody does it, but if you run across it, don't be surprised. Here in Los Angeles, there's a city called Glendale out here, Glendale, California. And I think I've got the right city. When you take their CERT program, at the very end, they charge you like 30 bucks. Um, they say, give me 30 bucks. And that covers your bag, but it also covers something else. It covers your background check because in many cases, when they call you for some kind of exercise, or actually not an exercise, some kind of operation, they might be calling you for a parade down Main Street. They might be calling you to work an event in the park where they need first aid or something like that. They want to have people who can do that. So in some of your cities, one of the primary things you guys will find yourself doing is running a support for your local fire, police, or emergency management department. That's a great thing. It's a great thing. During COVID here in LA, during the first month or so of COVID, LA City shut us down. They said, everybody take a powder. We've got this thing. We don't know what we're dealing with. We don't want you out there. But other cities around us, Culver City, as I remember, Culver City actually put their people to work manning phone banks, checking in on the elderly, coordinating meals for shut ins and the elderly. So you definitely might find yourself doing some of these things right out of the gate. And I will tell you, that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing. And that's the one thing I like about smaller cities is that they do tend to see value in having that extra CERT arm there. And remember, in smaller cities and municipalities, you don't have a large force of firefighters. In Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, we have 3,000 firefighters and 106 stations. So the mentality is a little bit different. Now, in Los Angeles, we do have a call out program which does support, but I'll explain how that fits in later. But for some of you folks across the country, and even here in Southern California, you will find that that is an option for you right out of the gate. And that's a wonderful thing if you can actually do it, as I said. One of the things I like to tell every CERT person to keep in mind um, is right here. This is something that one of our former CERT bureau coordinators, Paul Shively, who's pictured on the right, he was our previous Valley Bureau coordinator for CERT. Um, Many times, what you folks don't understand is when you guys come into the program, is that you have to kick in. And what I mean by that, and I'm just going to read what Paul has here, and I think it sums up everything here and around the country. For anyone who wants to be a part of the CERT team, become known as a participant. How do you do that? Show yourself off by dressing appropriately at each event. Arrive early at training events. Assist with setting up and offer assistance to those people where needed and where you can. Be a very active participant during the training sessions if that's something you want to do. Demonstrate leadership level skills via your conduct and attitude. That is very much key, and I'll get back to that in a moment. Offer suggestions instead of complaining. Now, I love our LAFD CERT people, love them to death. but sometimes, we get a whole lot of complaints and all that kind of stuff. Why doesn't the exercise start on time? Why does the hot wash have to go so long? There's a lot to that, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Take an active role in developing your community team around your home area. That will be the hardest thing you ever do, and we'll talk about that as well. And by demonstrating these skills listed above, you become visible and valuable to the team. You also become visible and valuable to yourself, quite honestly, because you're building your skills. You're becoming a part of that team, which I will tell you on a personal level, all of us here have become really, really good friends, and we do stuff on the side, which is not even CERT related. So remember that being a part of CERT as well, it's a lot of fellowship there, just like you do in anything else, whether it's baseball or whatever it is. But keep these things in mind. Um, to go over a couple things, show yourself off by dressing appropriately at each event. That means if you got a uniform that your team wears, wear it and look good in it, look clean in it, look pressed. But also, dressing appropriately also means having your PPEs, your vest, your helmet, the other gear that you have. That's all in dressing appropriately at that event, because guess what? If you're at that event and it's an exercise, you're going out into the field. And Patrick's great for it over here. When we send people out into the field, Patrick will tell everybody, if you don't have a roll of tape, you can't magically make a roll of tape if you don't have it. So have your gear with you, and that is appropriate. Arriving early at the training events and assisting with the setup, you all have no idea how much energy it takes for us to set up an exercise for you folks. It takes a lot of work. And in depending on how big the thing is, even if it's a small event, it's an investment of our time. And we would love to have help. And guess what? You're CERT people. Setting up things is what you do. So just saying. Be an active participant, of course, during the training sessions. If you feel like you want to get to a place of leadership somewhere down the road, get in there and contribute to those leadership levels and skills by a conduct and attitude. If you are looking to become a team leader somewhere down the road, live and learn, and be a part of it. And offer suggestions instead of complaining. Again, what you folks don't always realize is that all those beautiful exercises we put together for you, it takes time and it takes work, and it's usually done with not a lot of manpower. So it really taps everybody out. Take an active role in developing a community team around your area. That's going to be the hardest thing you do, is developing a team in your neighborhood. But we'll talk more about that along the way. And again, like I said, you become valuable and visible. You didn't expect that. You just expect you. I bet you all expected me just to kind of go through like some basic slides or something like that. I go deep. Um, things you can be a part of. This is where the rubber has met the road. CERT, no matter where you are in this great country of ours, outreach operations is key. We turn around almost immediately, and we get out at events where the fire department has asked us to go to, or we've been contacted by community groups and say, hey, can you set up a booth and show people what CERT actually does? Outreach operations. The first thing you kind of want to do is be a part of those outreach operations, because you'll start understanding what CERT is. And I will tell you, I've been doing this for 10 years. I didn't always appreciate the outreach operations, but over the years, I have. I have come to appreciate it once again. The reason why I didn't is that I thought everything was built in actually doing something, going out, doing search and rescue, medical, and all that kind of stuff. Um, but I've learned that you can still keep your skills sharp and add more skills by doing outreach operations. Talking about what you see right here, which is turning the gas on and off. I learn something new each time, a different way of pitching it, but it also keeps my skills sharp on how do I turn off the gas. could do it in my sleep because I do it so much in outreach operations. So if you're not exactly the most active person on the face of the planet, a good place to be is outreach because you folks have the knowledge, but you guys have to keep the knowledge sharp. So outreach operations is a wonderful thing. And there is something for everyone and a place for everyone, especially when it comes to outreach operations. Here in Los Angeles, we do a lot of outreach because we get a lot of calls from, like I said, community groups. The LAFD has its events and it's always putting us out there, but it's really good. The best members are those who do outreach. And I will be blunt with you and say that I have seen CERT members here who really suck at outreach operations, and it shouldn't be that way. But, it's the way it goes. So, outreach operations become a part of it. And again, what you see here is one of our members, Ben Skirker, talking about basic gas shutoff. With a gentleman at one of our medical fairs, as I remember that. That picture is actually about 8 years old, as far as I can remember. You guys can become part of the live exercises and meetings. This is key. One of the meetings is this meeting at this very moment. So I want to thank everybody who's here for joining us. Keep coming because what we'll do in these meetings, which are Zoom based and everything like that, we can, it's like we'll get your skills up to speed. And we're talking about different subjects every month. In some cases, some of the meetings we talk about are live and in person. It allows you to get with your team members and meet people and learn a different subject. We bring in subjects like we might have the emergency management department come in and talk about our version of Map Your Neighborhood, and you can interact with that. The live exercise, which you see, which is on the left side of my screen, um, that's an image from one of our gray burn exercises, which took place during COVID with a lot of care and a lot of precautions. These are a way of you actually putting the skills you learned in the class into action. I will tell you, when you do this, it all comes together. Just like for me, I studied broadcast film and television in college, and I went to work for CBS Television Network for 33 years. What I learned out of college, it really got put to work over those 33 years. What I have learned here in CERT has really come together in the last 10 years of doing these. And these live exercises, for those of you who are here in Los Angeles, we do them every month. We do a CERT exercise every month. We call it a CERT pop-up exercise. And the reason why we call it a pop-up exercise is that we do it in different places throughout the city. So we take it to the valley, we take it to the harbor, we take it to mid-city, all these different places so everybody can benefit. Um, Folks, if you have taken CERT, no matter where you are in the country, get to these exercises. If you're not taking advantage of these exercises, I hate to say it, but your skills are going to go right down the tubes. They're circling the drain if you don't do these things from time to time. And we see that all the time. So get out and do those live exercises. And there's at least a couple of you here who I can look up and see at every exercise. Love you. Solid. Online Zoom meetings and lecture sessions. We just talked about that. And guess what? You're here. In fact, I think you're at this very same one that we're showing right here. I'm kidding. It's another meeting which we do here. After COVID, one of the benefits of COVID was that we were able to open up more avenues of teaching for you guys. And one of the biggest and best things we ever did was to get Zoom, because just like you are here tonight, you don't have to leave your home. And you're getting some great knowledge here, especially when we have all of our different topics like medical and ICS and all that kind of stuff. Take advantage of that, at the very least. And one of the things, if you're lucky in your town, you have what we call a refresher. A refresher at least for us here in Los Angeles, is hosted by the Los Angeles City Fire Department who taught us. And by the way, for those people who took classes here in Los Angeles, even though you don't live in the city of Los Angeles, some of you might be from San Dimas, some of you might be some Hawthorne, Lawndale. If you took the class here in Los Angeles, when we do have those refreshers, you will hear about it because you're on the LAFD's email list, so you'll always hear about that. Definitely take advantage of it if you like. Take advantage of your refreshers in your own city as well. That's like getting double. That's like getting double the fun out there. But what we do at these refreshers are taught by LA City firefighters, the same LA City firefighters who taught the course, and they run you back through a refresher of refreshing your skills on using a fire extinguisher, basic bandaging, basic search and rescue, everything you learned in the class. They'll run you through that, and then at some point over the day, they'll put you all together in teams and have you practice everything. You're going to do everything, and it's quite nice to see. And what you see is one of our refreshers from some time back. Don't remember which one it is. And all of these folks are people who have taken CERT. Um, where am I? I guess I was the one taking the picture. I don't know, but take advantage of these things if you have them in your city or town. Um, if not, see if not again take advantage of what our coordinators are doing with those area exercises we just talked about. I'll go into a little bit of something here in Los Angeles. We're experiencing a bit of a budget crisis here on the city level. So for us here in Los Angeles, a lot of things are getting cut back and everything like that. One of those things has been our CERT program. We did not have a refresher this year, and most of it was due to budget issues. Um, this is where it becomes important that for those of you who want to keep your skills growing and getting better, this is where you take those neighborhood exercises or you take that pop up that we do every month. You also make it out to the meetings our coordinators are having because you will still continue to get that training, that quality training, and it will make up for what the city is not able to give us at this time. I went into that because it's just a reality of where we are right now, and many cities and towns are experiencing that kind of thing now. And I think we're getting close to the end here. Um, Gain other skills that complement your CERT knowledge. There are certain things that are not taught as part of the CERT curriculum. Again, the CERT curriculum is very basic, and you have to build in other elements over time. Some of those elements include hands-only CPR or first aid, CPR, AED, first aid, cardiopulmonary respiration, and automated external defibrillator. It's one of those nights where I can't seem to get things out. But take those take those courses through the American Red Cross, the American Heart Association, whomever. Also, another thing that's not always taught through a CERT is radio operations. There's a lot more out there, but I gave these to you guys as an example just to give you an idea. And once you guys get involved with the program, by the way, once you guys start getting out there with your neighborhood teams, you will actually start understanding, okay, here's what I want to get schooling on. Some of our people here have taken that medical training. Some of our people actually have been so inspired that they have become emergency medical responders, EMRs, or EMTs. We've got one that's a paramedic and who is a practicing paramedic. CERT boosted her up to do those different things. We've got one more fella, Scott, who's getting ready to go to paramedic school, and it all started in CERT. If it takes you there, hey, that's a beautiful thing. Other than that, gain some other skills you can add to your CERT knowledge base, because they're not always given in that basic class. And by the way, here in Los Angeles, we do host some of the first aid CPR AED classes every now and then. We've got a couple that we're going to put together for after the first of the year. Those of you in Los Angeles will hear about that and are welcome to be very much a part of that. And make your future goal, if it moves you, if it moves you to become a CERT leader. If you get to that point where you feel like you've got something to offer, become a CERT leader. I would say to you, if you're looking at that, start with putting that team together in your neighborhood. Yeah, we came right back to that. I said earlier that putting together a team in your own neighborhood would be one of the hardest things you do. A lot of us when we come out of the CERT program, myself included, I thought I'd come back here to my neighborhood, I'd stand in the middle of the street and I'd say, "I'm here, come follow me." Nobody came. So, but what it became something of getting people interested. You have to work in your neighborhood because remember, that's what CERT is. CERT is meant to be on the neighborhood level. It's meant to be a neighborhood level program in which you can take care of yourself, your family, and your community. Again, all in that order. But because we're a society that's we're in a lot of different places. We're thinking about what's happening in Washington. We're worried about crime on the streets. We're worried about money and food on the table. Sometimes we forget about that, and people don't always warm up to that. So it's work. So get out there, find the people who are interested, even if it's 3 or 4 people in a neighborhood. You can start there. You start there and you build. I did that. Um, Start putting together a team because if you're able to put together a small team of people to work with you, you definitely can lead. You can definitely can lead down the road. That's one thing, but also before you stand up to become that yeah, I want to lead something. Make sure you've got some knowledge. Make sure you've got some knowledge, and if you have skills that you bring from your other life that can fit, that help you be a good leader, bring those. So, but make it a future goal. I would say to everybody, if you're new to this, get out there and get some experience first. Again, with us here in Los Angeles, we're the ones who kind of put you. If somebody says, "Hey, I'd like to lead a battalion or whatever," you reach out to us, and then we'll go from there with you. But make sure you have some skills, some leadership. Make sure that's actually something that you can do. Not everybody who's part of CERT should be a leader. And we've learned that lesson hard sometimes. So there you go. That's kind of my thing. And it's like, holy crap. It's like I'm actually done, but just 8 minutes before the hour. I think what we want to do now is actually take some time and just do some Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right there. Ooh, 52 people. It's like good to see everybody. So I'm going to say, are there any questions? And I'm going to use my usual line that everybody here in Los Angeles knows. Questions, comments, or editorials, please let me know. Do you have questions for me? Because if you don't, I'm going to think I'm really good at it. And I know there's always a question out there. So please feel free. Raise your hand or let me know. So I am that good? All righty. Let's see. I'm going to look down here in the questions to see. Let's
Philip
see.
Armstrong has his hand up, and Kevin Burton does.
Oh, okay. It took a minute. I'll take Philip first. Philip, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hold on, I need to re-enable unmute.
You got it. Come
Okay.
on, Patrick. Don't be that kind of guy. And I see Kevin is still stuck there. You messing around with that you messing around your buttons over there?
I can speak now if you can hear me.
I can hear you now. I got you. Kevin, Philip, go ahead. By the way, what city are you from?
I'm LA Central, Rampart Village.
Hey, you're over in Patrick's area. Well, go on and ask your question.
So my group that took the training, we finished in June, and then we had another group in Rampart Village who finished in August. But we haven't really gotten a lot of information. Well, we were looking for I think there's like 6 NTP classes, and I was hoping this part of the title of this class is which are the next classes to take. So I'm assuming those 6 NTP classes are part of it. The other thing is that we need to have a team leader, and no one in those classes stepped forward to be the team leader. So it's not clear, what the process is for finding a team leader. So basically, the next step in additional training for the NTP, and how to get the team leader and the team organized and do our emergency plan and so forth.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have you interacted with your CERT area coordinator yet?
Yes, and he told me to contact you and Patrick.
Okay. Then what we need to do is we need to reach out to you and work on getting that in place, and we will do so. We will do so. And one of the people too you want to make sure you keep in your email and phone book is Patrick, who of course is the overall bureau coordinator for you guys, and we'll start arranging something for you. And what we're talking about here, and we're doing a little bit of a reformulation of the NTP program right now. That's probably why you haven't heard back yet, because we're doing a little bit of a re-imaging. What that program is a series of additional subjects designed to take you to another level, another 6 pieces of information that you can add to your knowledge base, and it should help you in that team formation aspect. So we'll be in touch with you soon, Philip, and hang tight.
Okay, thanks. You have my number, and you know where I live.
You got it.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
Kevin
it.
Burton over there, I'll reach out to you and say, Kevin, where are you from?
I am in West Hollywood,
Hey, okay,
and
a little bit north of where I am right now.
some of the
And
people here
Kevin, go ahead.
will
Mhm.
recognize me as having attended a recent drill to south of Beverly Hills. And I wanted to ask you to elaborate a bit on which official entities can run a CERT program. So you said fire department, law enforcement, could be sheriff or police department, and also a city with an emergency response division or department of some sort, I assume, and
Emergency management.
emergency management. Yes. And so West Hollywood, for example, has emergency management program within the public safety department.
Mhm.
And specifically, and they are not running a CERT program per se, although some of us have pushed quite some time to get them to start one. That
Mhm.
hasn't happened. But short of that, I'm wondering if a city with an emergency management program can hire CERT trainers to run a CERT class and be able to issue a a formal certificate of completion that presumably is backed up by FEMA at some point.
I think actually for you, it's actually a little bit easier than that. In West Hollywood, your main fire department is the County of Los Angeles Fire Department.
That's right.
Everybody, and if you're people of a certain age, you remember the County of Los Angeles Fire Department from Emergency, my favorite programs. the County of Los Angeles Fire Department teaches the CERT program as well. So I would probably approach your West Hollywood government and
So
ask them how
I
you
can
bring that
stop you at
class
this
in.
point and tell
Hmm.
you what happens
Hmm.
because that's exactly what's done. County
Hmm.
Fire Department has been approached by the city and
Hmm.
has for many years
Hmm.
run CERT basic training, CERT
Hmm.
courses. That's all
Hmm.
well and good, but it's not
Hmm.
good enough by a long shot because
Hmm.
they're limited on resources in terms of the number of trainers they have, how many courses
Hmm.
they can run. So the demand for our courses might support 4 or 5 courses a year.
Hmm.
They only run one course a year. They might
Hmm.
do two when they're really pushed. So we need
Hmm.
to hire freelance CERT trainers to do them ourselves under the auspices of the city, independent of the fire department, because they're not able to step up. And so I'm
Hmm.
asking, my question is that something that I can approach the city about? Because I know
Hmm.
a few CERT trainers
Hmm.
who probably who work volunteer a lot, but the city would
Hmm.
be willing to pay FEMA
Hmm.
certified CERT trainers to run these courses. And is that something you know of being done?
I'll answer this and I'll call my partner Patrick in on this one because he might have a point on that.
Okay.
From what I understand, if you're let's say you've got LA County Fire in in your city,
Yes.
that's their domain. That's their domain. It's like, and unless you can get the city to do something, and I don't know that you can,
Yeah.
that might not be something that you can actually do. Patrick, what are your thoughts on that particular question?
So, to my knowledge, LA County Fire teaches the class, but another government entity or department would run the program for a city within LA County Fire. So you can have, if you know people in the city, someone who's willing to sponsor the program, then you can work with that person and design the program how they want it to be designed. I don't know the logistics of having an outside agency or other people teaching the class. That would probably have to be negotiated with LA Fire, but in tandem with the city personnel who wants to sponsor the program.
So
So
when you say program, I'm drilling down specifically on basic training outside of any other CERT activities. I just want to make that clear
mhm.
because what the city is not going to run a CERT program anytime soon. We've tried to persuade them for many years. But if it's just hiring CERT trainers to run classes, I think that's a different question than running a whole program that they would be more comfortable doing. And I take Jen's comment about domains. I'm very aware of that, and I do not respect it because the county fire department cannot step up to the plate to meet the demand. So I would like the city to complement what the fire department can do by um, running a class, if you want to call it that. But yeah, they would have to run the class, but I mean, set it up. But as part of that, hire CERT trainers who have been FEMA certified to actually teach the class. That's what I have in mind because I know the county fire department will not do more. And I think the city might be persuaded to actually run a class if they can hire and pay CERT trainers from outside West Hollywood to as a freelance job to teach the class.
And
So I'm
Patrick,
just
and Patrick,
wondering if you think that's totally unreasonable or if you've ever heard of it being done or is worth trying.
and Patrick,
Well,
I'm going to kind of jump in and get your opinion. One of the things Kevin might have to do is kind of do what our Tri-City Association did. One of the groups that I showed in the slide presentation. What they did is they created a nonprofit a few years
Yeah.
ago, and they administer the program through that nonprofit, use the County of Los Angeles as their teaching mechanism, which they're very satisfied with. That actually might be the way that Kevin has to go. And by the way, Kevin, I do want to tell you, I am very aware that West Hollywood does not have an active CERT program because we have some former members who are over there, and I did a lecture to them as a favor to that member a while back. But I'm thinking that might be a way to go. Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah, you're gonna have to get buy-in from the city on whatever you're gonna do. And if the
Absolutely.
city says, hey, we want to do this, and I can put you in touch with some LA County Fire people who are responsible for their CERT program. I honestly can't tell you what they're going to say about teaching the class, but if the city wants it, then I think the city can get it.
Okay. I will approach the city. Thank you.
And I'm gonna go over to Daryl over here. Daryl Chin, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hi, up here in Humboldt County, we have CERT trainers who are not firefighters and not police. They went to, I believe, a national meeting where they got CERT training to be CERT trainers.
CERT train the trainer.
And they get paid when they do a workshop. We have to raise money for it. And this was before we became a nonprofit, but the nonprofit's just going to be a way to pay them and to get money into a nonprofit situation. But that's what we did. And I don't know if our trainers could be hired to come down there, but I think that somebody has pointed out that maybe the fire department or the city concerned might have problems or might need to go through a bureaucratic process to make sure that it's okay with them. Because it
Well,
would seem to me, it sounds like there are deeper problems than simply not wanting to put on a CERT training.
well, I have not approached the city about doing a CERT training. So I think that would be something a little new they might be responsive to.
That's all I've got
They
to
don't
say.
want to run an entire program, but doing a few CERT trainings a year, they might be receptive to. And our city can get grants and they would pay. So I don't think we would have to form a 501(c)(3) nonprofit to raise funds for it, because I think our city would be in a position to pay any program, I mean, any set of classes that they would administer when they hire CERT trainers.
There's a
I say,
there's a
I
curriculum
say,
for,
give it. Oh,
sorry,
you were saying, Daryl.
there's a curriculum for CERT training. It's a, it's a FEMA developed course outline. And so basically they teach from the script.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
But the main thing is that CERT programs are generally government sponsored. And so you need someone at the county or city level to authorize it and say this is what we want to do. Once that's established, then anything is possible, either outside resources or cracking down on the county to ask for more classes. But the end thing is you really need to talk to the people in the city who can ask for these kinds of things, and then it can be made happen.
Totally
That's what I
agree.
will do. And I will say they've pushed the county fire department very hard. So we're not going to get more out of them, even though demand is probably 3 or 4 times what the county is able to do. And I recognize they have limits on resources, just like other emergency services.
Mhm.
Just take it step by step and see where you go, and then work from there. All you can do is ask. And
Okay,
you
thank
are a
you.
constituent, and usually you can find those people in West Hollywood government who are very interested in that. I guarantee you they do exist.
Oh, I know them already. I know
All
exactly who to
right.
talk to. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And I see Hannah Kawano has a question over there. I know who that woman is.
Oh,
Hannah, come up with your question.
okay. I have a Ryland question. Where
Go
can
for
I
it.
the shingles? I want the Ryland shingles that has the 6 or 9 steps because when I go on their website, it's all about training me, and I already had the training. I want them for my neighborhood. And I I think if I just tell them, oh, hey, go online, they're not going to do it. I think if I'm going to go door to door with a shingle, you know, and at least they have the shingle. So where can I get those printed out? I imagine they don't have them because it's money, right?
Well, it's like, let me go through a couple things. And for those of you who are here who don't know what Rylan is, that is stands for RYLAN, or the letters are RYLAN. That stands for Ready Your Los Angeles Neighborhood. And for most of you around the country who are listening to this, you guys have been exposed to something like this because our program is built off of the Map Your Neighborhood program, which is pretty universal around the country. Map Your Neighborhood started in Seattle some years ago. I remember when I came on CERT, one of the first things my coordinator sent me to was a Map Your Neighborhood training down in the harbor. So what we're talking about is the Map Your Neighborhood concept. And as most of you know, it's a really great program which is designed to teach neighborhoods and groups, whether you're CERT trained or not, how to get your basic disaster plan in place. Everything from your basic preparation all the way down to team formation, staging areas, elder care, child care, etc. So what Hannah is asking is how does she get to that point? Hannah, you said you went through the Ryland training, which is yay. What you have to understand right now is that the LA EMD, the LA Emergency Management Department, like every other department, is impacted to a certain degree. So that's why they sent you, for the most part, to what they call the self-serve window. And basically, what you did is I assume you went through all of the Map Your Neighborhood Ryland material, and you're now at a point where you want to disseminate it out to your neighborhood. Here's what I really recommend you do. One, don't give those shingles out to your neighbors. Not yet. Because what Rylan is basically set up to do, it's basically for you to get your interested neighbors together to come to one spot, whether it's your home backyard or rec center where you've got a room set aside or whatever. It's designed for all of you to go collectively through what we call the shingle. And for those of you who are familiar with Map Your Neighborhood, the Map Your Neighborhood shingle. It's designed for you guys to go through each step together as a group and put together
Second.
your area plan. It's not designed really for all of you guys to go through and, just do it all one person at a time. But it's designed for you to do it collectively as a group. And in fact, I'm going to call on Mitch Jacobus, my buddy over there, 7CPAB1 on the radio. He has gone through the process. So, Mitch, come on up. Talk a little bit about that.
Thanks. What actually I was going to jump on, and this kind of falls into going back to Kevin's questions that he was asking. One is Ryland started out, and it's separate from CERT. It's and all. So you can do a Ryland session, and Chin and Patrick have actually rolled Ryland into the NTP program. So I don't know if this would be an avenue why Kevin in West Hollywood is trying to figure out and get more CERT classes, because NTP is separate from LA Fire CERT. We could do NTP training, which A would cover CERT. I mean, would cover NTP would cover Ryland, and then almost a lot of the material that you learn in the CERT class. As far as the shingles for HANA, you can call down at EMT and EMD, and they will send you out as many as you need if you're going to hold a class. Like Chin said, don't give them out until you actually hold a class. And they do have, like I went through, I'm a certified Ryland instructor because I went through Train the Trainer, so I lead Ryland classes. And then, so you can combine the both. You can either start an NTP and start with Ryland. That's our first or second session in the NTP program. So, as I said, and then for West Hollywood, let's get NTP going until they figure out when they can have the county fire department do more CERT classes. That's it.
And that great kick-ins, Mitch, as always. And Hannah, Mitch is right. You can reach out to downtown, and I can actually assist you with that because I can put you in touch with the man who actually would be the one person you talk to. His name is Richard Pope. He's a guy I work with all the time. And actually, Hannah, you were with me. I want to say, I could be wrong. Were you with me when I did the exercise over at Trinity Church earlier in the summer?
I don't know. Oh, was that the heat wave one?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, the heat wave one. Yeah, I was there.
Richard, who was one of our who was the guy kind of running the whole thing or co-hosting with me, he is your emergency management
A little
contact.
bit of repeat.
So we can actually reach out to
Either
Rich
way, either one.
and get him on
Coverage.
board, and he can steer you down the proper road of how to disseminate Ryland into your neighborhood. And for everybody else here, let's talk about Map Your Neighborhood. There is a process for that Map Your Neighborhood. So reach out for everybody who's here in terms of Map Your Neighborhood to your local fire department and definitely your emergency management departments. Everybody knows what Map Your Neighborhood here. And again, in Los Angeles, it's called Ready Your Los Angeles Neighborhood, but right on the cover, it's built off of Map Your Neighborhood. So for all of you there, and I do agree with Mitch, one of the things you can do if you want to get something going, especially if you're a CERT person and you're trying to get a team going, do a Ryland if you're Los Angeles, or map your neighborhood just about everybody else, or find out what the program is named in your town. Great question out there. Hannah, did we kind of answer your question? And again, reach out to me and we'll make this happen.
Okay, well, you answered half my question. The problem is I sent out an email blast to the neighborhood. Out of
Mhm,
15 households, I got 3 that said they're interested. And when
mhm,
I contacted them, they all bailed. So, the reason I wanted the shingles was I was just going to go door to door,
mhm,
shingles, and then, just one-on-one, here's what you do. And then also
mhm,
a survey like who doesn't have a gas turn off wrench or know how to turn off the gas, who doesn't have a fire
mhm.
extinguisher. That was my thought, but I think Mitch has a good idea. I didn't know there was a Ryland, uh, they train you to train people in Ryland. It's just a videotape that you go on to.
It's like they will teach you how to actually put that program out and put it out properly. One of the things you want to do with these kind of programs across the country, map your neighborhood and all that kind of stuff, is you want to put it out properly because they have a certain way of doing it that makes it effective. So we can talk about that at some point, and then we can walk through it together. And again, for everybody else here, this is relevant information in your town. Check out Map Your Neighborhood because it can be a very relevant program as part of your CERT program or part of your general neighborhood program. Nice. We're getting some good discussion here. Any other questions? Anybody else got a question they want to hurl my way? And you got a bunch of people here who, if I can't answer it fully, there are other people who can. Any other questions out there? If you want to scream them out, I'll take it. And good evening, Dave Brown. It's good to see you over there.
Thank you, Ken. Good to see you all too.
It's been a while. All right. It's like Patrick, I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions out there. Oh, there's a Zoom user. Now, Zoom user, who are you and where you from?
Sorry, new phone. I haven't updated. My name is Jose. I'm actually from downtown LA.
Hey, Jose from CERT downtown. You're also in Central Bureau. What's your question?
Yeah, I think this question is more for Patrick, I believe. I've had sort of a brief conversation. I went to a in-person training up in the valley a couple weeks ago. Um, and I had brought up the topic of I've taken other classes that are not CERT related, but it's also like um emergency preparedness training. Um, would would that be of like something to recommend people, like in order for me like to recommend this to people? Should I just go to like one of you like Patrick or something, be like, hey, like this is what they do. Maybe it might be a nice good idea to like recommend it to some of the CERT members.
I strongly recommend everyone take as much training and opportunities for training as possible.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, because just like as a brief example, one of the courses I took up in San Bernardino was like a kind of like a role play what happens during a school shooting, and like let's say you're a parent there or a teacher, and they kind of like role play the scenario, and it kind of like gives you an idea of what to do in that instant. And I don't know, I feel like I'm still very fairly new to CERT, trying to obviously expand my knowledge, but it feels like it, I don't know, probably like give you like an email link and be like, oh, probably something I think most CERT members would be interested in also learning.
Yeah, and if you're interested in that kind of stuff, if you haven't come to any of our drills, that's exactly what we're doing is we're getting you out, walking into a neighborhood and working scenarios as if it was an earthquake or some other disaster.
Got it.
All right, and again, I say it again to you. You identified yourself as relatively new to CERT. It's vitally important that you start getting out to various trainings and everything. And it seems like you're doing that. You're even going to other areas of the county, even into San Bernardino County, which is next door to us. Not close next door, but next door. And getting that knowledge. It's like bring that knowledge back, and then continue to reach out to Patrick. Now, do you live in downtown or do you just work in downtown?
No, I live in downtown.
All right. In downtown, you're in an area called Battalion 1. It's designated as Battalion 1, but right now, and I think Patrick will tell you, we're in the process of trying to install a new coordinator in there, somebody who will lead that area. And so in the meantime, I recommend that if you have any questions, and I'm sure Patrick wouldn't object, reach out to Patrick because Patrick is highly, highly knowledgeable about what's going on there, and let him be your guide, and he'll take you through the process.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
And one of the most, and again, what I said during the what I said during my PowerPoint, vitally, vitally important. You guys are in touch with your coordinators, team leaders of any kind that you've got, because when you do have questions like that, we'll walk you through the process. I'm going to go over to my friend Ronnie Morales over there, who's from Battalion 11. Ronnie, come on up and ask your question, my brother.
Oh, it was not a question. It was just for the downtown person regarding, these programs also have so many different aspects. I think we also had um, Listos California that did a program with us, right? And that's their website, listoscalifornia.org, I believe. And you know, like Patrick said, it's always best to take as much different courses and classes as you can and go to these programs. I know sometimes I don't make it, but I do like to go to the NTPs. I get my practice in and with the radio and I don't always be a leader, but sometimes Patrick puts me into that. And again, you learn where you are best suited for, and it's basically everything. But yeah, like Patrick said, just try to get as much training and different education as you can. It's always best, and keep coming to these. These are always the best.
And I definitely agree. And one thing I want to say that I was just sitting here thinking about is really get to know your local program, your local CERT program, because one thing I didn't say in the PowerPoint, I meant to say it a little bit earlier, but I'm going to say it here. Every CERT program has its own personality. It's just like a person. LA City, we tend to be what we call very tactical. It's like we're always out there practicing our skills, our search and rescue, our search and rescue, our medical, our everything. Some other programs are very outreach oriented, which is good. Yet other programs, like I said, some other programs in some of our cities are very logistics based, where you support a emergency operation or something like that. And by the way, just for those who are here in Los Angeles, I said I was going to go through it and I didn't, but I'm going to go through it very quickly. What we do have, which many of you may have heard about in the class, is our LA City call out program. And like I said very early on, it's a program that of which you have additional. You take some additional skills training, you go through a background check, and then you're out there supporting the LA City Fire Department. My recommendation to you folks whose ears probably went up like that, one, get active in your community with your battalion team. Again, I said earlier, we coordinators are the ones who put through lists of names of people who want to go to the call out team, and learn everything you can on the neighborhood level. Um, those skills that you learn practicing with your CERT battalion team are valuable in call out. It doesn't always seem that way, but you find out once you're there just how valuable it is. Like, for example, being able to do outreach. Even though sometimes when we're supporting the city of Los Angeles, we're doing it by doing outreach. And like I told you, I've seen some of our members who are not quite proficient in that, and it's very interesting to watch. So make sure that you're active, you're an active member, make sure that you're known by us. So when you say, hey, I might want to try out for that call out team, we're confident putting your name through on the list here in LA, because remember, we want to have a really great team, and the city wants a great team. I will not lie to you. Over the years, we've had some real turkeys come up in there, and just make sure that you do that. But one thing I also want to say about call out teams for everybody is make sure that you understand how your call out team works. In our case, we want you to come through the program, the neighborhood program, and remain active with the call out program. Um, in other places, you automatically go to that and then you learn your skills while you're there. So understand your call out programs and understand around the country, including here, there are opportunities to support your emergency organization. So I just want to kick that out there. And if there are any questions about call out, please reach out to me. More than happy to go through the whole thing. And by the way, for those of you in Los Angeles, I do a a dedicated call out training called All About Call Out. So, and when I do that training, which is about once or twice a year, I'll let you know about it, and you guys can come learn about the program because it's a very large program. So stay tuned. Any other questions out there for anybody? We are at 8:29 on the clock. and I want to see if anybody else has a question. All right, all right. I'm going to assume that I've done my due diligence and given you the information you've asked for. I hope you enjoyed it tonight. I actually hope you enjoyed it because I enjoy doing these kinds of sessions. So let me know if you have questions or anything like that. Feel free to reach out to me, and I will answer any and all questions. Patrick, I'll turn it back over to you for the closing. I will say, as I give up the floor, thank you for the privilege of your time. I know you folks could be anywhere right now, 1,000 different places, other than hearing me yammer on, but you guys care about this subject, and you care about being disaster prepared no matter where you are in our great nation tonight. So thank you guys for coming. Patrick?
Thank you, Chin, and thank you for all of you who were able to make it tonight. I don't know if we're going to do a December continuing education training, but keep an eye out on the cert-la.com calendar. And if we decide to put one on, we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll return in January. Thank you, everyone. If you don't get my emails, I posted in the chat. Go to certvolunteer.org and sign up for my email list so you'll know about these trainings and these Zoom sessions when we put them out.
And Patrick, before you let everybody go, I want to do a shout out to Dawn Cartwright out there who wrote in the chat. This is her very first meeting. I know it's like I remembered the email I did to her. Thank you for coming. And I saw several other first timers out there. Thank you guys for coming. And a big shout out to my friend over there, Tesla guy. He knows why. And see you soon.
Have a good night, everyone.